Good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello. Go ahead.
Hi, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead and talk.
Hey, so I recently purchased a property in the town of Watertown, not the city, but the town of Watertown.
Right.
Got my first tax bill, and the county tax was $2,200, which I expected because I've seen previous tax bills. Watertown Zone 1 fire.
Mm-hmm.
It was previously $700. It went up 61% to $1,150 on my property.
Wow.
I went to a meeting of the fire district Wednesday night. Apparently they have a meeting every Wednesday, the district board, and they have a lot of increasing expenses, no more volunteers. They have to have paid employees, and they need a new $1 million fire truck, and New York State is putting all kinds of restrictions and requirements on them that make it impossible to do business. So they put through a 61.2% increase.
Mm-hmm.
And you might wonder, how can they do this? Are they above the law? Do they have to run it by anybody?
No.
Well, apparently they had a notice in the newspaper. I'm sure a lot of your listeners read the newspaper. 14 people voted. 14.
Wow.
Out of the thousands of people in the town of Watertown. 14 people voted and approved this increase of 61%. There's no promise that it's not going to increase another 61% next year. It seems that whatever their bills are, they can just run it through and raise enough money to pay the bills. There's no association with the town. It just seemed to me to be pretty ironic. And not a representative sample of the people voting. Only 14 people. If you ask me, you only have 14 people show up. You got to say, hey, we're not reaching people. We got to do this a different way and do it.
Yeah, well, everybody moves to the town to save money, so I guess it didn't work out.
No.
So I don't know what to say about that other than, that's not the type of, it's funny that doesn't get reported in the news in any way or your public officials, but there really is no, most people who live in a town don't know where they live. They just live out in the country somewhere, and they don't really think about town government or town this or that or political subdivision. So you don't really notice something like this till it just comes along, and then it's too late.
And even then, after people get their tax bills, only about 10 people showed up to the meeting. I would think the whole town would be there. The taxes...
There is no whole town, though. There is no sense of community anymore. Even here in the city, there's a little more of a sense of identity. But, you live on a certain side of an imaginary line. You could be living in the town of Hounsfield, or, there's people with Sackett's addresses who Hounsfield. They live in Hounsfield, have a Watertown address. None of that means anything. You just pay
that's one of the things that makes this fire district very confusing too, because it's a U-shaped zone with Watertown City right in the middle.
Uh-huh.
And they have to service all these outskirt areas and then, drive trucks through the congestion of Watertown. Makes it a very difficult place, I think, to provide the services. But, when you buy a piece of property for, a little over $100,000, and then between school tax and property tax and fire tax of over $1,000, that's $7,000 worth of taxes on a $120,000 property. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's literally insane. And you can't run people's taxes up on 14 people's vote very many times before people say, I've got to get the heck out of here and go someplace cheaper.
Right.
Go to the other side of the imaginary line.
I guess, but, nobody else seems concerned. I understand why you're concerned, but nobody else seems to be.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know whether it's people don't pay attention or what it is, but I'll tell you, one of the questions I ask is there a chance it can go down? It never goes down once it goes up. Last year it went up 10%, And people probably thought, oh, well, 10%, now 60%. What if it goes up 100% next year and there's another $1,000 on my tax bill?
Mm-hmm.
At what point do people start to pay attention and take notice?
That I don't know.
When their properties foreclosed because they can't pay the bill anymore?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I sympathize with you, but, you know, we all pay taxes and so on. And so what's your fire bill now?
My fire bill now is $1,153.
Uh-huh.
That's literally half of what the county tax is. And you know what do you get for the county taxes? You get your roads, you get your snow plowing. I don't know what else you get. I got my own well and septic, and I'm waiting 3 months to have National Grid hook up power. It seems to me that I ought to be able to take fire services out of your county tax. Every other state, they do that. And,
well, yeah, but government out in the hinterlands is all done via districts, water districts, sewer districts, and so on. It's a hodgepodge. And so those boundaries for those areas are different than the boundaries for towns or villages or anything else. I don't expect that anyone would know how it works. I mean, unless you've been in the system and marinated in it, but that's just the way it is. So
you're not expected to know about it, but you're expected to pay the bill no matter how they go about implementing it.
Correct.
No matter how few people. 14 people, Mayor, 14 people is all that showed up. Wouldn't you suspect at that point that, I mean, what are the options? Either people don't care or they didn't know about it.
Well, who sets up that? Who sets up that election? Find out who the 14 people who voted are and what the margin was. You know?
Well, I think they all voted, which makes me think maybe they're all friends and relatives of the board.
Right.
I don't think you can go back now and find out who they are, but.
Well, you can find out who voted, not who they voted for, but yeah.
The people that listen to your show, I bet you not a single person, and some of them are in Watertown town, bet you not a single one of them knew this voting was coming up. You have to read the newspaper to know that it was coming up.
Well, right. Nobody reads legal notices. Even in the old days, they didn't. So.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's tough times, but when people are leaving the state like crazy, and you don't even have to leave the state sometimes. You just, like you said, cross the line into another district of something, a different township, and your taxes can be a whole lot different. 61%, and I don't care whether it's fire, as important as fire is, and God bless everybody who's being affected out in California right now, but 61% is crazy to just throw that on everybody and say you've got no voice in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they say, well, I got no voice, well, you had a voice, you could have showed up, but nobody knew. Only 14 people knew.
Well, I guess they don't mind paying extra. So there you go. Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you have a good day now. Thanks a lot.